Stand by. Oh, what's up, party people? KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Smarter? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability, get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Right now, I'm transmitting live on Twitch, YouTube, and my personal KeysDAN Facebook page at KeysDAN 411. So the YouTube pages are KeysDAN, and Twitch is KeysDAN, and the Facebook page is KeysDAN 411. So if you want to like, comment, subscribe, share, do all that kind of thing, you can find me there on those various places right now. But, you know, if you're listening to the replay, you can also like, share, respond, send me some comments. Let me know how I'm doing out here. I'm trying to learn some things. And while I'm gaining knowledge of news of today and other various topics, I might as well take you along on the ride, since I like to speak into microphones. And hopefully you like the sound of my voice. Hey, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, 10 things you need to know today for Tuesday, February 1st, 2022. 10 things you need to know today. Number 1, Russia, U.S. clash at UN over Ukraine. Russia and the United States clashed over the Ukraine crisis during a United Nations Security Council meeting on Monday. Russian Ambassador Vasily Nebenzia accused the U.S. of, quote, provoking escalation, end quote, by falsely claiming Russia, which has massed 100,000 troops near the Ukraine border, is preparing to invade its neighbor. Quote, you're waiting for it to happen, as if you want your words to become a reality, end quote, he said. Nebenzia directed his remarks at U.S. Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield, who accused Moscow of, quote, attempting without any factual basis to paint Ukraine and Western countries as the aggressors to fabricate a pretext for attack, end quote. Russia wants the U.S. and its allies to bar Ukraine from joining NATO as a condition for easing tensions. But the U.S. and NATO have ruled that out. This is according to the Washington Post. Number 2, judge rejects Arbery hate crime plea deal. A federal judge on Monday rejected plea deals for Gregory and Travis McMichael, 2 of the 3 white Georgia men facing federal hate crime charges for the killing of Ahmaud Arbery, a 25-year-old black man they chased through their neighborhood. Travis McMichael, 36, his father Gregory McMichael, and William Bryan were found guilty of murder in November, and the McMichaels were sentenced to life without parole. The McMichaels had agreed to plead guilty to the hate crime charges, but Arbery's family strenuously objected to the deal, which would have let them spend 30 years in federal prison instead of remaining in Georgia state custody in exchange for admitting the crime was racially motivated. Judge Lisa Godbey gave the McMichaels until Friday to decide whether to enter a guilty plea or go to trial. This is according to the New York Times. Number 3, FDA gives full approval to Moderna coronavirus vaccine. The Food and Drug Administration on Monday gave full approval for Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine. The drug, Spikevax, is the second coronavirus vaccine to become fully licensed in the United States. The Pfizer and BioNTech vaccine was the first, receiving full FDA approval in August. Also on Monday, Maryland-based Novavax submitted its long-awaited application for emergency use authorization for its vaccine. Novavax's vaccine is made differently than the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines, which use messenger RNA to provoke an immune system response to the virus. Novavax's shot is a protein vaccine delivering nanoparticles of the coronavirus spike protein to get the immune system to attack the infection. This is according to Stat News. Number 4, Spotify shares rebound after Rogan apology. Spotify's stock rebounded Monday from a plunge triggered by allegations that podcast host Joe Rogan was spreading COVID-19 misinformation. The shares had dropped from $193.56 per share on January 24th to $173 per share as of Friday, after singer Joni Mitchell and other artists joined folk rock star Neil Young by removing their music from the streaming platform to protest Rogan's inaccurate comments about coronavirus vaccines and treatments. The stock jumped back to $195.36 per share, rising 12% on Monday after Rogan apologized for his COVID comments and promised to, quote, do better, end quote. Spotify said it would add a content advisory to COVID-centered episodes of the Joe Rogan Experience, a key show in its bid to expand beyond music. This is according to Reuters. Number 5, UK Partygate report says Downing Street lockdown parties difficult to justify. A senior British civil servant, Sue Gray, released a long-awaited report on a series of Downing Street parties held while Britain was under coronavirus lockdown, saying they were, quote, difficult to justify, end quote, and showed a serious, quote, failure of leadership, end quote. Prime Minister Boris Johnson apologized Monday but rejected calls to resign over what has come to be known as, quote, Partygate, end quote. Johnson promised reforms in the way his office operates. Quote, if I get it, and I will fix, I get it. Oh, let's do this again. Quote, I get it, and I will fix it, end quote. Johnson said in parliamentary after Gray published the interim findings. Gray's report covered just 4 of 16 parties held in 2020 and 2021 that she investigated. She withheld what she found on the other events at the request of London police to avoid, quote, any prejudice, end quote, to new criminal investigation. This is according to CNN and the Associated Press. Number 6, Trump reportedly asked about seizing voting machines after 2020 loss. President Trump rejected a proposal pushed by outside advisors, notably lawyer Sidney Powell, Michael Flynn, and Phil Waldron, to have the Pentagon seize voting machines in a handful of swing states. President Biden won, the New York Times and CNN report. But later, in November and December 2020, he personally asked Attorney General William Barr if the Justice Department could seize the voting machines. Trump also directed his lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, to ask the Department of Homeland Security whether it could do so. These new accounts by people with first or second-hand knowledge of the events show that, quote, Trump was more directly involved than previously known in exploring proposals to use his national security agencies to seize voting machines, end quote, in his push to reverse his election loss, the Times reports. This is according to the New York Times. Number 7, EPA reasserts authority to regulate mercury emissions at aging power plants. The Environmental Protection Agency said Monday it would reassert its authority to restrict toxic mercury in emissions from coal-burning power plants, reversing a Trump-era rollback. The move against mercury, a neurotoxin that threatens brain development in children and fetuses, is the latest in a series of actions planned by the Biden administration to cut air and water pollution. President Biden has vowed to make U.S. electricity production carbon neutral by 2035 as part of his effort to step up nation's efforts step up the nation's efforts to fight climate change. Quote, regulations to require power producers to fully internalize the cost of their product are decades overdue, end quote, said Tom Samar, C-M-A-R. I need to figure out how to pronounce that. An attorney with the law firm Alton Newman, who represents environmental groups. This is according to the Washington Post. Number 8, Pence's former chief of staff reportedly testifies to January 6th committee. Mark Short, former Vice President Mike Pence's chief of staff, testified before the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th Capitol attack, CNN reported Monday, citing people with knowledge of the matter. Short reportedly testified before the committee last Wednesday after receiving a subpoena. Short was with Pence at the Capitol during the riot, when some members of the crowd, angry at Pence for saying he couldn't overturn President Trump's election, shouted that the former vice president should be hanged. Short's appearance was the most significant sign yet that Pence's team is cooperating with investigators. Short participated in a critical White House meeting on January 4th, 2021, when then President Donald Trump and attorney John Eastman tried to pressure Pence into overturning the election results. This is according to CNN. Number 9, New York Times buys Wordle. The New York Times announced Monday that it has purchased Wordle, the word game that went viral this year. Only 90 people played Wordle on November 1st. The number grew to 300,000 by mid-January. By the end of the month, millions of people were trying to solve the daily word puzzle. The game's creator, software engineer Josh Wardle, created it in 2013 and released it in October. But its popularity exploded when he made it easy for players to share results on Twitter and Facebook. Wardle said the Times paid a price, quote, in the low 7 figures, end quote. The purchase was part of the newspaper's effort to use games to help in a push to boost digital subscriptions. Wordle will remain free for now, the Times said. This is according to the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. Number 10, tributes pour in for former Miss USA Chesley Crist after her death. Mourners flooded social media on Monday with tributes to extra correspondent and former Miss USA Chesley Crist, who died in a fall from her New York City apartment building on Sunday. Crist, 30, received a law degree from Wake Forest University after completing her undergraduate studies at the University of South Carolina, where she ran track. Her death, which is being investigated as a suicide, left former colleagues, fans, and those who knew her for her charity work stunned and deeply saddened. Quote, Chesley was a remarkably gifted young lawyer, end quote, USC interim president Harris Pastedes tweeted Monday. Quote, my thoughts are with all who knew and loved her. For those who are struggling, please make your well-being a priority, end quote. USC women's basketball coach Dawn Staley tweeted the number for a suicide hotline. This is according to the Charlotte Observer. That's 10 things you need to know today for Tuesday, February 1st, 2022. Thank you so much for listening. I'm trying to fill my head with knowledge. This is news of the day. Stay tuned to the What Makes You Smarter feed. Stay tuned to this feed. It's all being hosted on the KeysDAN Show feed. So I host this along with the What Makes You Famous podcast. So if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out the What Makes You Famous podcast. Use the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere. And if you don't want to watch me play games, video games poorly, you can follow the hashtag KeysDAN Gaming. Find me on Twitch and find me on Facebook Gaming. Hashtag KeysDAN Gaming. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Smarter. Thank you so much for coming along on the ride. Hey, if you're in the Conway, Arkansas area, find me at the Rab on Friday night, the video dance party karaoke jam. Always a good time at the Rab. Full bar, kitchens open, pool tables, pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try your hand at playing pool and possibly make some money, check out the Rab on Friday nights. Yeah, and you could sing a song. You could be the star of the video dance party karaoke jam. That's the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, Friday night from 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the a.m. That's it for me. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.